God. If you want life to be a little easier, you're a lazy. Well, you dimwit. Haha, you activated my trap cards. Complete idiot. We're back with another Q&A featuring you guys, your questions that you had for me, as well as responding and debunking some of the hate comments that MAGA snowflakes leave littered throughout my videos. So make sure you stick in to the end for those. And if you want to be able to directly ask me questions, from here on out, they're only available for our members. Memberships are available as low as $3 a month. We have a link for that in the description if you'd like to check it out. Thank you for all the questions we got. Thank you for the hate comments, because I am going to enjoy embarrassing you guys. And let's jump right into it. Our first question comes from It's Just Met 1743, a longtime member on the channel. And for that, thank you very much. Consistent viewer and commenter as well. Love that. Her question is, were your parents 5 to 35 years old during the 60s and 70s? If not, were your grandparents open and progressive like the hippie era, and or what molded you into the human you are? I don't know how much upbringing had to play in it. My mom and dad were both like 5 to 10 in the 60s. They were born in 56, I believe, 57. My grandparents actually more so would fit the mold for hippies. My mom and dad are very much like staunch, like liberal. Like they're not very politically inclined. Like they don't really pay attention to it or anything like that. But they definitely are like Democrats, not Republicans, but not like probably nearly as progressive as me, especially if you look at like my little brother. It's funny how we're like complete polar opposites. So I don't think upbringing like in my household had a lot to do with it as much as upbringing in the environment I was raised in. I'm obviously a person of color, and I grew up in a majority white town. Because of that, I was introduced to things like racism at a young age. I remember when I was in like first and second grade, I had a friend who was in special needs class, and I remember the way people would make fun of him and things like that growing up, seeing gay people get made fun of. I was introduced to like a need or an empathy towards social issues, and that's kind of what led me on the path to where I am today, where it more manifests politically now, where I was like very, very much against racism, very outspoken about that. I wrote a speech about reparations in high school, things like that. And then it was about 2018, 2019. I mean, I was with like Obama a little bit vaguely, like, you know, I liked his liked his policies, but I like what he represented. The more I learned about his policies, the less I like him. So I want to refrain from saying I liked his policies. At the time, I did support him very much so, though. But as I came more into politics, it was more like 2018, Donald Trump, his rhetoric towards immigrants that kind of brought me to be anti-Trump. So that's kind of like what brought me into it, supporting Bernie. I supported Bernie a little bit before 2018, 2016. You know, I was kind of like a Bernie bro. I was mad that Hillary took the nomination. 2020 is kind of where I fully came into politics, started researching, learning things. I already kind of associated at that time with communism. As I learned more about politics, I kind of like don't really associate with that as much anymore. I'm more of like a progressive socialist, way to the left. I've been lib-pilled a little bit. Definitely. I'm like the mixed kid in politics, right? I'm not socialist or communist enough for the lefties, but I'm not like liberal enough for liberals. So I'm somewhere in the middle. Our next comment is from Carolyn Mack 4017, another longtime member, another longtime viewer, commenter. Again, very much appreciative. She asked 2 questions. First one, also, what about or I guess this was the second one. We're going to tackle it first though. What about reprogressivizing our income tax system? The lower tax table seems sort of fair to me, but it jumps to 24% very quickly and then does not go all that much higher as incomes go towards 1 million a year and over. Yeah, I think that our tax system is really messed up. In most states, they have an inherently regressive tax structure, which means the lower that you are on the income table, the more you're going to be paying in taxes because of the ways that people can write off taxes. They can get their money through capital gains and investments, things that aren't taxed the way they should be now, like in the way our tax structure is currently set up. I support going back to the tax structure we had when we saw the most economic growth in the country and the biggest shrinking of the income inequality that we saw, which was, I believe, in the 60s, definitely into the 70s, where the top marginal tax rate was 94% for anything over $400,000. Today, that would be about 3 million. So you can make 3 million in profit in a year. Anything over that, you're taxed 94 cents on a dollar. Again, when we saw that, we saw the widest social safety nets we had, the most growth economically as a country, and the compression of classes. A lot of people say, oh, it'll disincentivize people. No, it'll disincentivize maybe the person. You got to think, let's take homes, for instance, right? If it's people who are selling homes and somebody just sold their 30th home and they just reached $3 million and they're like, okay, well, this next home, I'm not going to sell. That home just gets sold by somebody else, right? And it's somebody who needs that money a lot more. So it also just funnels that back, and it also incentivizes business investments, because if you take those profits and you reinvest them into your business, you're not meeting that threshold to the same extent. Your business is then going to be bringing more money because of you're reinvesting more, your profit flow, your customer base is going to go up. And then you will actually see that money trickle down the way that people say tax cuts will. But, we've had 3 different Republicans cut taxes and they never do. Her next question was, what do you think about a universal basic income system? She talks about Alan Yang and the value added tax that would go to providing everyone in the US $800 a month. Even if it was more like $500 a month, she says rich people could not complain about the tax since they are getting the cash. It might even be a better wash for the middle class. I am not necessarily against universal basic income. I think it's good in theory. And I think that if it was something that was needed, if we paid for it through like Wall Street tax, a value added tax, carbon tax, even something like that, I'm all for it. But my only reservation is that I think there's other safety nets we need to look at first. And I think that if those were tackled, the need for UBI might be a lot less. Like I would, before UBI, I would support universal healthcare, right? I would support tax-based housing, like guaranteed housing for all. Maybe to a certain income level, then you're paying money, but like below a certain income level where you're guaranteed. I talk about the Red Vienna housing model enough on my channel. We're not going to turn this into that, but that's kind of the model I support where watch my video on it if you want the long breakdown. That's something, guaranteed childcare for at least the working workers. I would support it for everyone, raise the minimum wage. And I think public transit, wider accessible public transit. And I think that if we address these things first, a lot of the areas where we think UBI would be needed wouldn't be needed as much. But if it still was, I'm not against it. I'm all for whatever is going to erase income inequality. CP&D, one of like the most OG members too. He was the very first, and he always he'll leave like the what's it called, the times on my videos. I can't think of what it's called right now, but I appreciate him doing that. He always has something to say, and that's enjoyable. He asked, when did my political side awaken? So kind of the same as this just met, and to be more specifically into politics, I started when Obama in 2012, when he was running against Mitt Romney. That was when I first started tuning into like debates, elections, things like that. But I was also like 14. So like I didn't really care too much past like, are you helping with the social issues that I experienced, right? 2016, I was Bernie bro, but like kind of same. I was like 17, 18. So I was like kind of getting more into it. I couldn't have explained like where taxes go. I couldn't have explained like how bills get passed, things like that. But I was kind of in the mix. 2018 is where I was like, okay, I need to learn this because I realized how dangerous Donald Trump was as like a leading figure in politics. That's what started it. And then from there, it's been to where now, I'm fully in the mix. So those were actually the only questions we got from our members. Remember, $3 a month if you want to join. You get videos early, you get all kinds of perks, and you get to directly ask me questions and be in these videos. But now, sometimes we got to address the haters. We're going to do it in this video. We got a couple, and the first person, second most endangered genders, complete idiot. He comments on my videos all the time, and when you respond to him, he just never responds, but then he'll comment on like other threads in my videos and act like everyone's ignoring it. It doesn't make any sense. And he asked questions like this. He said, so life is better now than when Donald Trump was in office? Yes, undoubtedly. He said, please cite one act of fraud and or corruption. No one else can. Okay, he defrauded banks. Boom, 460 million. He inflated his value to get more loans, to get access to things that I couldn't have had access to, all by inflating his value. He inflated like Mar-a-Lago by hundreds of millions of dollars, the Trump Tower by hundreds of millions of dollars, properties on, I think, Park Ave or something like that, where he said he had like 1,200 properties that could be fit in this land, and it ended up only being a couple hundred. The list goes on and on. I'll show it on the screen. That'll play right here while I'm talking about it. Plenty of fraud. Corruption? I need 11,740 votes, pressuring high-ranking officials to get those votes, fraudulent electors to try and overturn the election, inciting people to have a riot at the Capitol to delay the peaceful transfer of power so he could then orchestrate this coup. The list goes on and on and on. Like, really? Corruption? Are you serious? You're going to ask me to list one thing of fraud? Whatever. Another one that he always asks is, how did Donald Trump make your life so miserable? Well, first off, he sexually assaulted a woman, right? And then he was the leading figure of America. Like, when you're president, you are the guy, you're the face of America. And it makes my life miserable to have my country that I care about a lot represented by a rapist, pretty much, right? And then he added over 7 trillion to our debt. He literally caused inflation to spike. He sent us into a recession in 2020. His rhetoric is directly responsible for the spike in COVID deaths as well. But I mean, just in infections, Republicans were more likely to get it than Democrats. They were more likely to die from it than Democrats. He tried to do away with Obamacare. My grandparents are on Medicare and Medicaid. He tried to defund those things. He took money. He blocked transgender people from the military, removed their federal protections. I have plenty of LGBTQ friends. Again, the list goes on and on and on, but these are really just dumb rhetorical questions that he likes to ask. And I thought, why not put him in a video, right? This next one is Richard Akers 8752. Not like no hate his way. You know, this is the only comment I think he's left on my videos. He commented on a video about abortion and said, so murder is okay in your eyes, you dimwit. Well, you dimwit. Haha, you activated my trap card because murder is the unlawful killing of a human being and abortion is legal in the states that abortion is happening in. So it can't be murder. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, right? What else do I got to say? This person, would you consider end of life care murder if somebody is in a coma and they can only live on a machine and their family decides, okay, well, if there's no recovery, we want to pull the plug on the machine. We don't have the money to keep this coming. It's going to throw us in debt if we keep them on this machine. We want to unplug them. Is that murder in his eyes? I would wonder, because a lot of people draw the line there, and I draw the line on like sentience and personhood. That's where we should be really having the conversation, because if you're not having the conscious experiences or you don't have the ability to have those conscious experiences that a person has, I don't think that you are a person. And I don't think people would disagree when it comes to like the example of somebody who's on a machine at the end of their life, can't live without it. And it's the same with the fetus, where they're not sentient. They're relying on not a machine, but a person whose quality of life may go down and down and down and down because of that. And yeah, the argument for me is personhood. If you disagree, I don't care. Next is CBIF7TQ, typical Democrat talking point, expecting the world to give them handouts, get jobs, you lazy fucks. These comments always get me and get me laughing, dying laughing pretty much, because these people are narcissists. When you break it down, they want to be able to take all the handouts that they get and they're okay with those. But if you take anyone that they don't agree with, they're like, you're lazy. Not me though. This person undoubtedly drives on public roads to get to work, right? Why don't you just drive on private roads? Why are you taking those handouts? This person's grandparents, or depending on how old they are, he might even be on Medicare and Medicaid. Why don't you just have private insurance? He probably went to public school. Why are you taking those handouts? Why don't you go to private school? But are your kids in public school, private school? The list goes on. Do you take public transportation? If you own a home, do you get your homeowner's deduction? Why am I subsidizing your home ownership? I don't own a home. Why am I paying for that? Why are you taking those handouts? These people will take every handout that they need, that they see fit, right? And then they'll be like, well, if you want life to be a little easier, you're a lazy fuck. Like, no, I probably outwork this person. I have a full-time job. I do YouTube. I'm a dad. Like, I do plenty. This person wants to call me lazy. Okay. Stoop404. He says, now that is another blatant lie you push to your idiot followers. He wasn't charged or convicted for any type of assault. This is in reference to Trump's sexual assault, by the way. You little commie socialist losers are going to get sent back to your lane soon enough. This person in the comment before this, by the way, he said, I'm not on the left or the right, by the way. DEI is DOA. Nobody with brains is going for the woke trash you desperately need to get ahead because you can't ish on merit. Stay down. I don't know what the end of that means, but okay. To reply to all of this kind of briefly. Now that he raped E. Jean Carroll, like you realize he was found liable for that. No, he wasn't like convicted because statute of limitations, but like statute of limitations doesn't mean you didn't do it. And he was found liable for it. And the judge, when he was found liable for it, said, by all definitions of the word, he raped E. Jean Carroll. It's that simple. DEI is dead on arrival. DEI has been around since the 60s, my man. Do you even know that? Or you just talking about things you don't really know? If it was dead on arrival, then why has it survived 6 decades? I don't know. It's almost like you guys got tired of your other 3-word targets for racism, and now you're moving on to DEI. But to pretend that it's like a new thing is ignorant, and to pretend that it's like I think, if anything, the white race gets more DEI than anybody. Look at Trump's cabinet appointments. Look at 99% of pilots. Look at all these things, right? Where in the study that was shown with the applications where everything was the same, experience, location, everything except one name was a typical black person name, one name was a typical white person name, and the person with the whitewash name literally got more callbacks on the jobs. It's almost like DEI is necessary. I don't know. Now, this last one is kind of funny. If you're going to come at me, make me laugh, right? I'll like it a little more. This person said, bro, you're a bad haircut short of an insane asylum. Good thing I got a fire haircut. Thank you, my guy. I'm going to take that as a compliment. Sorry you're so soft and weak and scared of the mean old straight man. Well, I just want to say that straight white people do commit the most sexual assault. So, I mean, technically we should all kind of be scared of straight white men. I don't know. LOL. Fucking leftists. Sorry, fruitcakes. I'm not a fruitcake. I get this a lot. I'm not a fruitcake. Does long hair just make me a fruitcake? I don't get it. I have the tie-dye on my headband. I don't know what makes people think this, but okay, whatever. It's like, also, not an insult. Not an insult at all. Some of the coolest people I know are gay. Some of the coolest people I know are LGBTQ. So thanks, I guess. Your arguments are ignorant at best. Didn't respond to any of my, this was my gender sociology video, and what is a chair? If you've seen it, you've seen it, right? If you haven't, you haven't. Didn't respond to any of my points, but my argument is ignorant at best and shameful at worst, but he couldn't respond to anything I said. But what can we expect from ignorance and low T males? God, I got all the testosterone, all right? You need me to bust out 50 push-ups real quick? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. What does that even matter? This dude sounds like fucking Andrew Tate with a lot less money and a lot less women, I guess. I don't know. Andrew Tate didn't get his women legally either, while he's on house arrest. But yeah, people like this, I mean, it was funny. It was funny, I'll say. Like, I don't really get the point, do people in insane asylums have bad haircuts? But it did make me chuckle, so I wanted to add this on the end. Do I want to show any of these other ones? Let's see. It's just people freaking out, pretty much. I'm probably not even going to respond to any other ones. We'll wrap this one up here. If you want to get involved in these videos, there's two ways. You can either leave embarrassing comments, and I will debunk them and laugh at them, laugh in your face. Or you can get a membership. It's $3 because it's the only way we become a society. And you get tons of perks. You get videos early. You get to be cool with all my other amazing members that have been supporting me for the longest. I do my best to respond to all your comments. I know I probably missed some. You get videos early. Did I say that already? I don't know, right? And more. The rest is a secret. Subscribe, hit the member button. The link is in the description if you want to be in the next Q&A. And guys, thank you very much, with a special thank you to my members.